that you're very open about is the purchase price, and not just the purchase price, but what you actually took home. You sold for it's 25 million, right? You ended up netting after everything and your partner and everything about 9. Did I make it up? I'm like, remember, okay, it was about 9, right?
So you have to look at the deal fees.
Yep.
We had a phantom equity pool for our employees.
Yep.
We had Michael, and we had 2 very small investors who put in like 25,000 each when we needed to build out a data set. So the deal fees, the shareholders, the employee pool, and then my taxes, I walked away with about 9 million.
So I just, again, want to share how grateful I am that you share this, because I've been doing this podcast now. I had a whole first season. It's very hard to get people to be open and talk about money. And you created a TikTok on this that went really viral. And I know from knowing you that must have been hard, like the night before you put that out, or like you're putting that out into the world. Talk to me about what went into that decision and if it's worked out well for you.
You are right. I had many sleepless nights over that video. I would wake up in a panic and then text my social media person like, oh, maybe we shouldn't put it on LinkedIn. Maybe we should only put it on TikTok. And I don't know what I was thinking, because once I put it on TikTok, people started posting it on every platform.
Right.
I wasn't even on Twitter at the time.
Right.
And it got more than 1 million views on Twitter. And a girlfriend of mine texted me and said, my daughter just saw you on Twitter. I didn't even know I was on there. And by the time I go in, I have 1 million views. So it was kind of crazy. But yes, I was very scared, but also excited. And what I've learned about myself is if I'm scared of something, it usually means it's going to turn out well. Because it's something that maybe no one's done before, or other people are scared to do. So that's why they don't do it. But, I have 2 sons, and my 25-year-old son, he's the older one, and he works in business. And it was really his idea. He's like, you need to put out a video, because, we hear about how Gen Z is so into financial transparency. And I do believe it's not just Gen Z at this point, because I think we're in this period where so much is fake.
Yes.
So much is like some of these TikToks I watch.
I know.
Who have businesses.
I know.
I watch the whole thing and they talk about they're making 25,000 a month. I don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
Never once explain.
Right.
And it sounds like something super shady and not real.
Right.
Or I saw this thing about these people were buying these flowers and then selling these flowers.
Reselling them. Yeah. I think
fake. It's fake. It's not.
Yeah.
So that, I think I've tapped into that zeitgeist of like, people just want real truth. And I mean, the one thing that didn't scare me is I don't really have I'm not a fake person. I don't have skeleton in my closet that's fine to be like, oh,
she's full of it. And your authenticity shines through. I think that's part of what makes it interesting. By the way, I think the bullshit has always existed. It used to be what I would call like the country club multiple, right? Guys on a golf course being like, I got 20x, but they're full of shit. Like, people always inflate their numbers. And now what exists in that space is, instead of it being a country club multiple, it's sort of this bullshit it's an Instagram multiple of, oh, I made $25,000 in 2 days. Here's how. And like, it's really hard to discern truth from fiction out there. And I think the thing that makes you special is that you can immediately tell that it is authentic and it is real, and you're there to truly help. And so that to me was very, very inspiring. I have a question for you that I haven't asked you before, and I don't think you've talked about. So I want to see if we can do it here. But do you think that the process of selling a business for a woman is different than it is for a man?
I don't think so. Occasionally might see these little microaggressions or things that you just notice and file away for later. But no, I mean, I don't think so. I am able to leverage men when I need to. And I don't actually say, hey, Lee, my partner, Lee, I want you to do this. I want you to say this. because I feel like it's not going to land as well coming from me, but I'll do it and I won't tell him why I'm doing that. And that's the difference, I think, between, I'm the first year of Gen X, so I'm an old Gen X. And then my mother was also in the workplace. And so her generation and my generation, like, we were just clever and quiet about it, right? Like, if we know how this is going to work and this is unlikely to land well coming from me, you just say, hey, Lee, I want you to have this conversation. And a lot of younger women get pissed off about that. They're like, you should just put it, you should. And it's like, you know what? I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to accomplish something. I don't need to fight. I don't need to educate anyone in this moment. I just want my fucking money, right? And so I'm going to do what I need to do to get it. And if that means I have to apologize for something I said using a tone that people didn't like, which happened, or get someone else to have the conversation, that's what I'm going to do. And I was in chief for a while, so I was working with all these other women. And there was my first meeting, and I don't know where this woman went. I have to find her and see how it turned out. But she was in the process of going through the same thing I had just been through. She was coming up against men who were like, oh my gosh, you got this amazing offer. You're so lucky. It's so great that you're able to do this. And she knew from the comps in her industry that it was under offer. Mm-hmm. And so she had a male CFO and she had him go back and negotiate. So it's the same kind of thing. If you get this feeling like they're just treating me like I'm lucky, not like I'm smart, put in your man and have them go to bat.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I hear from you, so I'm also Gen X, which I think is a major difference in generations in general, how we approach things very, very, very different with time and culture and all of this. I think the reality is that we've been building businesses as women like this, thinking about what's going to get the job done. And I don't care if I have to twist myself into a pretzel, and I don't care if I have to put a man in front of me. Like, I'll do what I need to do to get the job done and get it done. And how wonderful would it be if we didn't have to do it, but knowing how to do that and how to negotiate and get your stuff done is just essential. I mean, it really is. It's not... if you're going to be in the game, you have to know how to play the game. And I think it's like innately learning how to do that is important. And it's just, it's important not to deny that exists and that it will continue to exist for a while.
It's just the reality. And I mean, I'm the first one to speak loud and make a statement about things like that. But not in this case. It's like, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot.
Yep.
And if I want to go on and make my point loudly later, which I'm trying to now, and I have the freedom to, I needed to get through that whole process.
You are exactly right.
You have to be practical about it. And it's the same thing, I think about with my mother's generation. Like, I used to get really frustrated sometimes with my mother because my father would speak to her in a way that I found was just horrible and unacceptable.
Yeah.
He would say, why do you let him do this? And now I'm going through this whole journey of reflection. I think it was kind of the same thing. Like,
she was playing the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She did what she needed to do to get it done. And sometimes we need to not tolerate that. And sometimes, there are certain situations, but in many situations, this is how I always felt about when people talked about likability, like, oh, we don't need to be likable. We don't need to smile. And I was like, oh, well, actually being likable and smiling, it helps you get the job done. But I think it will be ideal. The ideal future is when women like you and women like me are sitting on the other side of the table. That's when this all goes away. So we need to get, I think, as many women to grow, to exit when they're ready, if they want to, on their terms, and then really be able to be sitting on the other side of the table, whether it's advising or whether it's sitting at the PE table making the decisions. That's, I think, where we're going to see real change for us as a whole.